Thank you for joining, dear viewers. You are watching OBN Horn of Africa. This is Diplomacy Program and I am Fanta Mbelete. My guest today is Indian Ambassador to Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Ambassador Robert Shetkintong. Till the end of our program, stay tuned. Ambassador, very warm welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you very much. I am Robert Shetkintong, Ambassador of India to Ethiopia. Welcome to the Indian Embassy.
Would you tell our audience a little bit about India, please?
There are a lot of similarities between India and Ethiopia. You are a large country. We are also a very large country. Now we are the most populous country in the world. Like Ethiopia, we are also a democratic country. We have numerous ethnic groups. Like here you have more than 80 ethnic groups. In India we have hundreds of different communities living in different regions of the country. Again, people of Ethiopia profess all types of religion. In India, all major religions have presence in India. You have so many languages. We have thousands of languages. In terms of culture, there is a lot of similarity. In terms of food, there is a lot of similarity. So for many Ethiopians who have not yet visited India but have seen India through Indian movies, they will find that our two countries are similar. We are very close. Ethiopia is called the land of origins. India is an ancient civilization. So for Ethiopians who land in India for the first time, you will think that India is also like Addis, India is also like Havasa, India is also like Bahirdar, India is also like Mekelle, India is also like Adama. We are very similar. India is also like Zigziga or Samara. So we are very similar.
How was Ethio-Indian relations before 5 years and how is it going right now? How are both countries working together on social, economic and political issues?
Our relations go more than 2,000 years. It was trade that brought us together. That is why we have lots of similarities. For example, when you visit Lalibela, you see the magnificent rock-hewn churches. We also have similar single rock engineering that we can see in South Indian temples. People feel that because of trade, our people came together, exchanged ideas. So that is one way of looking historically. But I want to talk about the contemporary relations. About 150 years ago, there were more than 100 Indian families who used to stay in Dire Dawa and in Addis Ababa. Today, about 40 to 50 Indian families have made Ethiopia their home for the last 3 to 5 generations. During imperial times, we had thousands of Indian teachers who taught in secondary schools in Ethiopia, many of them teaching in remote areas of your country. Yes, these teachers have left, but today we have Indian faculty in public universities in Ethiopia, so education. Ethiopian students form one of the largest group of students from Africa studying in India. For example, about 15 years ago, this is a story that an Ethiopian national, Mr. Muhammad Idris, told me, that 15 years ago there were 2,500 Ethiopian students studying in Pune alone, just in one city. So education brought us. I have also traveled all over your country, and many times I come across Ethiopian nationals speaking Hindi. How do they speak Hindi? By watching Indian movies. So yes, all these factors have brought us together. But in the last few years, you can see that politically we have excellent relations. Leadership of Ethiopia, leadership of India have visited our countries. We have seen lots of VVIP visits. Last month, on the sidelines of BRICS summit in Johannesburg, our two prime ministers met. They agreed to deepen our bilateral relationship. Earlier in April, Indian foreign minister visited Ethiopia and met his counterpart. Last year Ethiopian Minister of Peace, Minister of Defense, Minister of Industry, Minister of Women and Social Affairs visited India. Last year, Indian Foreign Minister also visited Ethiopia and called on the Honorable President of Ethiopia. Even during the COVID pandemic, Ethiopian Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister visited New Delhi. So we have excellent relations politically. I think one of the most visible or important aspects of our relations is business. Indian investments have substantial presence in Ethiopia. 650 Indian companies are registered with Ethiopian Investment Commission, generating employment to about 75,000 Ethiopian nationals. Yes, most of the factories are in and around Addis Ababa, but in Oromia we have about 100 Indian companies. Around Bishoptu, I think there are about 35 to 40 Indian companies. Then we have about 20 Indian agriculture farms, most of them in Oromia. The only private Indian sugar factory in Cebu Sire belongs to an Indian investor. The largest banana farm near Chamo Lake in Arbamins is an Indian investor. When you go to Adamitilu, you will see the largest meat processing plant in this region, and it could be in Africa also. It is an Indian investor. When you go to Mojo, you will see two tanneries and two Indian tanneries. You'll also see one Indian meat processing plant. So what I'm only trying to say is that Indian investments have substantial presence in Ethiopia.
How do you describe the current diplomatic relations Ethiopia has with Asian countries?
See, Ethiopia, many people rightly call Ethiopia as the diplomatic hub of Africa. You are one of the founders of the African Union. That is why, and you also have the African Union headquarters here. So I think as the second largest country in terms of population in Africa, and as a democratic country, I think you have no boundaries. You have excellent relations with all countries in the world.
What is your reflection on the 2023 BRICS summit that held in South Africa, and what were the key decisions made on that summit?
I think I want to make a general statement. When our Indian Prime Minister stated that India supports BRICS expansion will make the organization more effective. So in that spirit, India welcomed the 6 new countries into the BRICS family. And when these 6 new countries join BRICS, I think BRICS will form about 35% of the global GDP and about 47% of the global population. And let me also sum up with what the Honorable Prime Minister of Ethiopia stated. He said that Ethiopia, as a new member of BRICS family, will work with the organization to make the organization more effective as a voice of the global south and for inclusive multilateralism.
The founding nations of the bloc added 6 new members, and Ethiopia was one of them. What was the contribution of India to the group?
I think one of the basic criteria is that the original 5 members have agreed as a consensus to include all these 6 countries. So it is by common consensus.
From diplomacy point of view, what will Ethiopia benefit from joining this bloc, and will it affect the relation that Ethiopia has with the Western countries?
I think again, let me only say what the Ethiopian Prime Minister said, that Ethiopia will work in tandem with all the BRICS countries to be a voice of the global south, to be a voice of the developing world, and for inclusive multilateralism. I think that is very important.
Do you think that Ethiopia's joining of BRICS will cement better Indian-Ethiopian relations?
We already have excellent relations. See, Ethiopia was one of the first countries from Africa to establish diplomatic relations with India in 1948. So this year we are celebrating 75 years of diplomatic relations between our two countries. We have excellent relations covering all aspects.
What will BRICS benefit Ethiopia and the global south?
Today we are talking about inclusive multilateralism. So if you want inclusive multilateralism, you have to bring the global south in global conversations. So I think this is a forum that will provide countries of the global south to voice their common concerns.
Do you think that these BRICS bring all African countries, or do you think that it realizes the African integration?
See, BRICS is a voice for the global south. Because Africa is from the global south, that is why I think the three countries that we have, Ethiopia, Egypt and South Africa, will bring to the table the voice of Africa and the voice of the global south. So this is my optimism. No, BRICS is an organization that stands for the developing south, where the voice of the developing south should be heard, and that it wants, inclusive multilateralism. So in that process, yes, it will help us, the global south countries, to come and voice and give our voice together in all multilateral forum. I think that is the main message. Now, whether it will benefit a country bilaterally, I think every country makes effort to have good or productive relations with all countries. So that we will leave it to countries, but for me the message of BRICS is that we want our voice of the global south to be heard, and that we are pushing for what we call inclusive multilateralism.
The current leadership in Ethiopia wants to form genuine and bilateral relations with the rest of the world. How is it succeeding?
It would be unfair for me to give, a grading system. I think Ethiopia, as an independent and sovereign country, has its own diplomatic policy, which is sovereign of its own, and it is always trying its best to serve the country's interests and also the global interests at large.
The current leadership in Ethiopia is practicing privatization in the country, and it is being practiced, or it is being applied on telecommunications and banks. What's your reflection on this?
See, one of the things that I have seen is that, the country's economic development is very important. There are, for example, when you interact with, for example, let us say, the Ethiopian Chamber of Commerce and Sectoral Associations, or Addis Chamber of Commerce and Sectoral Associations, for them the private sector plays a very important role. So I think it is in this light that you are adopting policies that the country feels is important for your economic development.
The development initiatives Ethiopia working on, including green legacy and self-food sufficiency, need a strong financial backing. How would India want to support Ethiopia on this regard?
Under our concessional lines of credit, we have constructed 3 sugar factories in Ethiopia. That is at Finca, Wonjisoa and in Tendaho. So talks are going on. Under our India-Africa Forum Summit, India has committed 15 billion, 5 billion earlier and then subsequently 10 billion. So 15 billion under our what we call concessional lines of credit. If Ethiopia wants to avail such concessional lines of credit from India, I think we can always work together in this regard.
Ethiopia is also working on accession negotiation to the World Trade Organization membership. Do you think that Ethiopia fulfills the criteria for membership, and what will it benefit from this membership?
Talks are going on. Ethiopia has, I think, your Minister of Trade and Regional Integration is the main person who is leading these talks with the WTO, right? Mr. Chala. So I think talks are going on. For me to comment anything on that, it would be unfair. Yeah, talks are going on.
Ethiopia is among strong advocates of advancing and expanding African continental free trade area. What's your advice on this?
I know that the whole world is looking towards this free trade agreement, because then the whole African continent, with about how much 1.3 billion people, is going to be a big market. So I think many countries are looking forward. I think many countries are supporting this, but it is for the countries in Africa itself to first agree on, the free trade agreement.
Great. You have been talking about the Indian-Ethiopian relations, and you said that we are working together in different sectors. So how can you explain these diplomatic relations in terms of developmental projects?
Our relation, our approach to Ethiopia, our approach to all countries in Africa is based on solidarity, is based on mutual respect and mutual understanding, and the fundamental principle is that we believe whatever we do is in the interest of the countries in Africa, and it is only in the interest that we are implementing such projects. See, for example, let us say we have what we call development partnership. I'm talking about India's development partnership. See, every year we send more than 400 Ethiopian nationals to attend short-term training programs in India. This could be 2 weeks, longest could be 6 months. So these are all fully funded by Government of India. We send Ethiopian nationals, and since 1969, I think more than 4,000 Ethiopian nationals have attended these training programs. We feel that these are helpful for them. The Indian Foreign Ministry also provides 55 scholarships every year. This could be for postgraduate, it could be for PhD, but we give 55 every year. Then Indian Ministry of Education also provides scholarships under a Study in India initiative. These are various categories. It could be 80% discount, or it could be 50%, but under the Study in India initiative we provide scholarships. Then various private universities also give scholarships to Ethiopians. So this is our development partnership. Yes, we have also donated few things in the past. For example, in some hospitals we have given some machines, we have maybe donated some medicines, we have donated some wheat and rice in the past. So that is our development partnership. But here where I want to emphasize is that the substantial business presence that we have in Ethiopia is private-led. It's private-led. These are all, most of them are family-owned businesses, and it is a bit different from investments that you might see from some countries. But when it comes to India, these are all private-led Indian investments.
Ethiopia wants us to use the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam project as it is a resource for sharing power with neighboring countries. What diplomatic benefit will the project render in the future?
What I only believe is that the three countries will have to sit down together and work out your agreement led by the African Union for the benefit of all the countries.
Ethiopia is expanding roads and rail networks to join with neighboring countries for years now. Do you think such infrastructure connectivity will change the current course of conflict and instability in the Horn region?
Like Ethiopia, India is also a developing country, and we know the importance of infrastructure. Infrastructure will only lead to prosperity of all the regions of a country. It will touch all parts of the country. So that is why infrastructure is important.
How do you think the peace and stability in Africa, and particularly in the Horn region, be peaceful in the future?
See, peace and stability is important for any country. In India also we need, in Ethiopia also you need. See, at this time of the year, when you are celebrating your New Year and numerous festivals, what is the wish of every Ethiopian? The wish of every Ethiopian is that you want peace, unity and development. So that clearly states that conflicts will only bring down, will take back the development of a country by many years backwards. So that is why, yes, we cannot apply a common yardstick to deal with any security situation. for all countries. Every country has its own specific way of, there is a specific approach to your issues. We also are dealing with such issues. So that is why, conflicts have to be dealt effectively, because for any country to progress, peace is important.
How can you explain this bilateral relations in technology and health facilities?
See, okay, let me come to health. We have 4 Indian pharma factories here. Kadila Pharmacy in Gelan, Kilis Estro near Sendafa. Then in Kilinto we have Glocare and Africure. These are 4 factories. 2 are I think 3 are joint ventures. 1 is a standalone investment. Then, for example, Washington Medical Center and Apollo Hospital of India have signed a memorandum of understanding, where Apollo Hospital will manage the hospital of Washington Health Center in Addis Ababa. Now, actually, Apollo Hospitals of India is one of the largest medical hospitals in the world. Apollo manages or has 83 hospitals in the world. So I think as and when I think this project comes up, I think really we will stand to benefit.
How do you describe the relations both countries have in education sector?
We have what we call the Joint Working Group on Science and Technology. So under this, India is looking at collaborating with centers of excellence, with while we give importance to all universities. I think under this initiative we have identified some few universities who will work really closely with their Indian counterparts. It's just that I don't know the exact names of those universities, but I know, for example, Adama Science and Technology, Addis Ababa Science and Technology, they are part of that initiative.
How are your projects working on to bring foreign currency?
Yes, it is not that every Indian factory is happy. Yes, there are few factories who have to shut down their operations, but majority of the Indian factories are actually here in this country. Despite these few challenges that you have mentioned, I think they are happy. So that is why even during the COVID time, there were 35 or 36 new investments from India.
How are your projects working on creating job opportunities for Ethiopians?
Indian factories generate employment for 75,000 Ethiopian nationals. For example, when you go to Bole Lemi, there is an Indian factory called JJ Textiles. JJ Textiles itself has 9,000 Ethiopian workers. I think one of the positive things about many investors coming to your country is the capability of the Ethiopian workers. I think that is why you have hit on the nail, that capability. And also I have also interacted, or I have visited your IT park near the airport, right? The IT park. One of the things that Ethiopian policymakers are looking at is that Ethiopia could be the next venue for outsourcing in terms of ICT.
How do you explain Indian-African relations?
India looks at Ethiopia as our extended neighborhood. So in the last 5 years, actually we have opened 18 new embassies in Africa. So altogether today we have 44 embassies in Africa, right? I think in terms of investments, we have about, I think, $90 billion. In terms of bilateral trade, it's about $70 billion. And we know that we can expand and grow together. Africa is very much important on India's diplomatic outreach. So in the last 5 years, Indian ministers have visited every African country. We also have the frequent visits of the President, Vice President and Prime Minister of India to some of these countries. But ministerial visits, every Indian minister has visited or Indian ministers have visited every African country. So that is the kind of importance we give you. We also have a big Indian diaspora. South Africa, for example, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, we have a large Indian diaspora. We also have a huge Indian population in Nigeria. Yes, here in Ethiopia we have about 5,000 Indian people. So I'm just giving you a glimpse into our approach to Africa. Africa is very important for India. And that is why if you look at India's G20 presidency, India holds the G20 presidency at the moment. I think on 9th and 10th September we will have the G20 Leaders Summit. I think India has taken this lead that we will be the voice of the global South. We have initiated lots of discussions so that the voice of the global South, including that of Africa, is being reflected in the discussions that are happening globally.
What is your view on Ethiopia's developmental projects? This is including green economy and self-food sufficiency.
I think this is very commendable. It is a project that will not only benefit your country, but will also benefit, our efforts to tackle climate change. For example, India's Independence Day is on 15th August. So that means last month. So as part of our celebrations, actually Indian Embassy took the lead, and about 25 Indian factories also join us in planting trees. I mean, this is just a small gesture, but what I can only say is that this green legacy initiative that has been initiated by Ethiopia is a commendable project.
What is the importance of green economy?
Yes, so many countries are also undertaking this kind of green legacy campaign. So if you look at I'm talking about the second initiative, where the Prime Minister of Ethiopia has clearly said that yes, we will plant trees, but let us also I think plant fruits. Fruits will address 2-3 issues. It's also giving employment. It's also coming in our food security, and also environment. So actually it is a very, I told you, it's a very commendable initiative. Climate change, food security, employment, you are addressing many issues with that campaign that you have undertaken. It is a very ambitious project, but you are doing it, you are tackling that campaign very effectively.
Have you got any final message before we wind up this session, please?
This is the best September, the period around September is, I think, one of the best times in Ethiopia. Like India, you also celebrate lots of festivals. You have already completed Ascenda festival, then you will be celebrating Ethiopian New Year, then followed by Mescal festivals all over the country, and then the Oromo people will be celebrating Irecha. So this is the time of the time of the year when you have lots of festivals, and also this is the time of the year when your Ethiopian landscape is covered by the golden colors of the mescal flower. So when you are celebrating these festivals, Indian community, that is about 5,000 of us, we also celebrate your festivals, and on behalf of all of them, I want to convey a very prosperous Ethiopian New Year and also joyous festivities that you have.
Ambassador Robert Shetkintong, thank you for your time and wish you happy Ethiopian New Year.
Thank you for coming.
Dear esteemed viewers, we have finished our discussion today. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful Ethiopian New Year.